Welcome back to the King's Corner, the place for all things Bethesda. I am the King Fan Man, and this is your Bethesda Complete E3 Guide, and it's all the information you will need to be ready for this weekend and Bethesda's E3 showcase. And it's looking like it may be their biggest and best ever. First, we already know a lot about what's going to be shown, and it's amazing. I honestly cannot wait to see and learn more about all that Bethesda has already shown us, and we will go over all that in just a minute. But the second reason it may be the biggest and best showcase, and has me so excited, remember what Pete Hines actually said, that it would be the biggest showcase ever. Plus, he continues to post how excited he is for this year's presentation. I don't ever remember him being this excited. Plus, just this week, he was asked if there are any more major surprises that Bethesda has left for us, and he answered, definitely more than one. Now that is super exciting. More than one major surprise? So even with all the awesome new games and DLCs that we already know about, there are still more than one major surprises on the way? Now, Bethesda's showcase will be this Sunday, June the 10th at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Now, for those who are not attending, don't worry. Bethesda will be broadcasting it live on YouTube, on Twitch, and probably other places as well. And remember, we will be live on this channel immediately after Bethesda's showcase with a reaction and discussion on everything that they revealed. Now, for those who are lucky enough to be there in person, well, you better get on your way pretty quick if you're going to be on time, because it runs through June the 14th, and of course it's in Los Angeles. And it's mostly sold out, so I hope you already have your tickets. Well, here is a picture of the floor plan and where Bethesda's booth will be, and of course you can go by there anytime this week and see and even play the games that they show us this Sunday. Now on to what we might be seeing this year at Bethesda's E3 showcase. Let's start with Bethesda Game Studios, because let's face it, they are the ones that most people seem to be most hyped about and most curious to see if they have any of those major surprises that Pete Hines was talking about. And also, Bethesda Game Studios will probably have the largest block of time out of all the other studios that Bethesda publishes. Let's start with what we know they are going to show us, and that, of course, is Fallout 76. Now, I know I'm going to say this a lot in this video, but I cannot wait to find out more. Like, is it really a multiplayer game? And if it is, what kind of multiplayer game is it? And also, if it is, can it also be played as a single-player game? Then I will be very interested to learn more about the story and to see some gameplay. You know, this may be the least we have ever known about a Fallout game before its announcement, or any BGS game for that matter. Now, I'm sure the Fallout 76 segment will take up a lot of time in the showcase. If you remember, the Fallout 4 presentation in 2015 was 45 minutes long. But I may be most interested in if Bethesda Game Studios has more to show us, and I'm betting they do. Now, this is where we start speculating, so hold on. If you remember the last time Bethesda Game Studios gave us a game, they also gave us a mobile game. And of course, it's been long rumored that they're going to give us another one soon, and Todd Howard has said the same. Well, if we do get a mobile game this year, and I think we will, what will it be? If you remember, Fallout Shelter was the mobile game the year they released Fallout 4, so will it be another Fallout themed game this year? That would be a good guess, since they're showing Fallout 76, and most of the advertising around Los Angeles and E3 is all been Fallout themed. Have you seen the buildings and the bus stop? Now, even though a Fallout themed mobile game might make the most sense right now, and certainly it is a possibility, especially with the success of Fallout Shelter, but I do think there is another possible theme that might make more sense. Remember back to when everyone was still talking about Starfield? You probably also remember seeing that when ZeniMax updated the Starfield trademark, that mobile games, along with all kinds of merchandise, was also added. Now stop and think with me for just a minute. If you're going to have a mobile game theme, and merchandise like shirts, hats, stickers, and all kinds of collectibles. It seems almost necessary to have a big AAA game before the mobile game and merchandise would ever be wanted. Who would want a Starfield shirt if all there is a Starfield mobile game? And who would want a Starfield mobile game if there's not a big Starfield RPG? See my point? Well, I do think we might just get a Starfield mobile game, but only if we get the Starfield real game. And this is still a real possibility. And it just could be one of those major surprises Pete Hines was talking about. Now, if we don't get a real Starfield, then you look for another Fallout-themed mobile game. Either way, I'm positive we're getting a mobile game. Now let me stop for just a minute and explain why there are many that still think there are 2 games coming from Bethesda Game Studios. Now I'm not talking about the mobile game, I'm talking about 2 AAA games in the same year, by the way, for the first time from Bethesda Game Studios. Well, if they've never done it before, then why this year? And I have to say, I've caught a little flack for my stand about Starfield. But yet, every video I make about Starfield gets twice as many views as my other videos. So I'm not the only one thinking about Starfield. I've also noticed almost every true Bethesda YouTuber has done at least one Starfield video after the reveal of Fallout 76. So obviously, the Starfield idea is not dead. Some might think it is not real or not coming this year, and that's fine. It may not be. But there is still a very good reason why Bethesda Game Studios may in fact, and I believe will, give us more than one game this year. Just like the host of the documentary the other night slipped and said games were coming from Bethesda Game Studios. Now, he wasn't talking about Bethesda Softworks, he was talking about Bethesda Game Studios. Well, the simple reason to possibly expect more than one game this year is because Bethesda Game Studios is bigger than they have ever been. There are now 3 Bethesda Game Studios, and the main Maryland studio is also bigger than it's ever been. So should we expect more from 3 studios than we've been getting from 1? Of course. Okay, to try to make this as short as possible, let me break down the possibilities of the 3 Bethesda Game Studios. That's Maryland, Montreal, and Austin. We already know about Fallout 76. What we don't know is who is the main studio that worked on it. Now, we do know for sure that both Maryland and Austin worked on it together. That's a fact. We know that Austin did the multiplayer part of the game. That's also a fact. Now, here's where speculation starts. Was it a complete partnership where both worked equally? If that's the case, then we can probably expect both single player and multiplayer. And if that's all that both of these studios have been working on for 3 years, then this game will probably be huge. And if this is the case, I believe this will be the main game and there will not be an announcement of Starfield. Now, the next possibility is that Austin was the lead studio, with Maryland just giving support. If this is true, then Fallout 76 will be mostly a multiplayer game, or completely a multiplayer game. And if that's the case, then Fallout 76 will not be the big game, and you can expect an announcement of Starfield. Now remember, we haven't even talked about the Montreal studio yet. Well, since they were the developers of Fallout Shelter, I'm pretty sure they have been working on the new mobile game. But again, I have to ask, do you think it took a full-size studio 3 years to develop just a mobile game? Of course not. That's why many believe we're also getting a special anniversary edition of Fallout 3, because it was the Montreal studio that made the Skyrim Special Edition. So it would be easy to guess that it would be this studio working on the Fallout 3 remaster. So there are the main possibilities and speculations for the 3 studios that are Bethesda Game Studios. And I also gave you the reasons why and why not those possibilities might happen. If you missed some of it, go back and listen again because it was a lot to take in the first time. Now, there are some more unlikely possibilities like The Elder Scrolls 6 or a Game of Thrones game, and I guess we should always consider the possibility of them completely surprising us. since they already did that with Fallout 76. That is a lot of possibilities. Like I said at the beginning, even though we all have our strong opinions, we have never gone into an E3 knowing this little about what is coming from Bethesda Game Studios. But that just makes it even more exciting, and to me, it makes me want to watch that much more. Okay, let's move on, and we will go through the other studios published by Bethesda a little faster since BGS took so long. Let's talk about id Software next. Now, we do know they're going to show us more about Rage 2 this year, and I'm still very excited for this. In fact, I'm more excited than I was when it was revealed. I cannot wait to see and play this game. I'm almost looking forward to this as much as I am Fallout 76. Okay, but can we expect anything else from id this year? Now, normally you would say no, and if I had to make a guess, I would say no, but since id got a lot of help from Avalanche Studio on Rage 2, and id is much like Bethesda Game Studios in the fact that it is bigger than it has ever been, so it's all according to how much Avalanche did on Rage 2. If they did much more than id, then there is a great possibility we will see Doom 2 revealed this year as well. The one thing that might, and I say might, point to this is the fact that Avalanche is named first on the game trailer. Now that may not seem like a big deal to most, but remember, id Software is owned by Bethesda, and Bethesda is the publisher. But Avalanche is not owned by Bethesda, at least yet. Many of the studios that Bethesda owns, they first worked as partners with them before Bethesda acquired them. You would think if id and Avalanche were equal partners on this game, then id would at least be named and promoted first. That would just be a smart business decision. So Rage 2 might just be mainly Avalanche's baby. If that's so, then Doom 2 will probably be revealed this year, and that would certainly be considered one of the major surprises that Pete Hines was talking about. Now, it is widely known that Doom 2 has been in the works for some time, and you might remember back when Pete Hines was being interviewed by DualShockers that he made a statement that got everyone's attention. He said, whether or not folks realize it, this is the hell on earth time for us with E3. This sounded like a very scripted answer. And if it was a scripted answer, it was a certain tease for Doom 2. Because most of you do remember and know this, that the original Doom 2 had the tagline of hell on earth. Now, I don't think Pete Hines said this just off the top of his head. So this was either a tease of Doom 2, or he was trying to throw everybody off so we would be surprised by Rage 2, which we all were. All of these questions will be answered this Sunday, and I cannot wait to find out. See, I said I can't wait again. Now, before I move off id, I should say they're going to talk about Quake Champions. You know how I know? They always talk about Quake Champions. Okay, moving on to Arcane Studio. It's already been teased several times this year that something is coming from the Prey series, and it's going to be about the moon. Now, it will either be a DLC for the original game, or more likely will be a standalone game, but not a full sequel, just like they did for Dishonored with the Death of the Outsider. Now, I am very interested in seeing what they have because I really enjoyed the BioShock retro feel of Prey. It's a great game. If you haven't tried it, you should. Also, we might see the original Prey come to the Switch. I do think we will see several Switch ports from Bethesda this year, like possibly Fallout 3 Anniversary Edition. We already know that Wolfenstein 2 is coming to the Switch, maybe even Fallout 4 or The Evil Within. Since Bethesda loves to port their games, I won't mention any more through this video, but just know any Bethesda game could be revealed as a Switch port. I know we will see at least a few at E3. We're going to talk about ZeniMax Online for just a moment. They just released Somerset, the new expansion to the Elder Scrolls Online, and of course they're going to show that. It's a great opportunity to advertise and to show people who may have never played ESO. Now, with that said, since that just came out, I don't expect anything else from ZeniMax this year at E3 unless it is more info or maybe something extra for Somerset. Now next, I want to quickly mention the Elder Scrolls Legend card game. We just learned there's going to be a major shakeup in Bethesda because they are moving away from the developer Direwolf. Now, Direwolf has been the only company being published by Bethesda that is not owned by Bethesda. So we will probably hear about a new developer that Bethesda might just be looking to purchase to make this game, because Bethesda wants in-house studios making their games. They make more money that way. So major things are happening. Expect us to hear something, if not at E3, very soon. Now, the last two developers I'm going to talk about together to cut down on time since this video's been running a little long, and because both Machine Games and Tango GameWorks are in a very similar position, being that they both released a game last year. Machine Games just finished with 3 DLCs for Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus, and of course we know about the Switch port that I already talked about. Other than that, they have not had time for a new game, so unless they bring us a 4th DLC for Wolfenstein, I don't think we will hear from Machine Games. Now, Tango GameWorks, they announced The Evil Within last year, just like Machine Games announced Wolfenstein 2. The only difference is they haven't given us a DLC. Now, sadly, there is not even a rumor about a DLC for The Evil Within 2, but I would love to be surprised. So there you go. That's all the studios and most of the possibilities and probabilities for this year's Bethesda E3. Now, of course, I want to hear what you think. Did I miss something or maybe get something wrong? Let me know down in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for stopping by the King's Corner. Y'all better stick close because this weekend is going to be crazy. Now, remember to join us for our live post-E3 discussion and reaction that will start as soon as Pete Hines leaves the stage. That's if YouTube cooperates this time. Several of the creators have been having trouble getting the live feed to work lately, just like I did last week when it took me 40 minutes to get on. So if I'm not live right after the showcase, please keep checking. I will be there. Also, go check out my new Patreon page and consider becoming a supporter of this channel. I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Lauren for becoming my first $10 or more supporter. Thank you. It means more than you will ever know. Hey, if you're not a subscriber to this channel, I'm running a special this week. It's free. All you have to do is hit that button, but you better do it before the prices go back up. I am the King Fan Man, and I'll see you next time.